Hi folks, welcome to the video. This is How's It Going? And today this is going to be looking at a kind of new solo survival build that I put together for my Pyromancer. In some ways it's very similar to my last build, pretty much the same gear, but it's just a slight different kind of skill tree and playstyle. So yeah, let's just jump into it. So a little bit of a disclaimer first. We are going to be using legendary gear. This is going to be designed for kind of CT15 kind of solo runs. However, you could build using this skill tree and just use epic gear instead and use pretty much all the same mods. I don't believe I have any tier 3 mods that you need to have this build. So yeah, let's just jump into the gear first. So here we are at the gear. As you can see, I am using the Akari set. I'm using the 3-piece Akari. Then my primary weapon is of course the Infernal Seed, probably the best gun for at least Pyromancers. I would say it's probably one of the best guns for any kind of status or skill build because of the Wrath of Moloch mod, which is great by the way. I get usually 30 to 40 million damage per run just from that. And then I have rolled Fortress onto that. Fortress is a tricky one because I reckon they're going to nerf it. So I'm going to use it for now, but I'm going to start weaning myself off once they've kind of fixed the gear bug and once they start putting balancing patches in, because I reckon they'll nerf it, and I don't want to get to the point where I rely on it. My backup here is going to be a sniper, well not a sniper, it's a rifle one-shot variant. I put onto that again the Wrath of Moloch, and then I've got the anomaly enhancement, so I get 30% of my normal power as firepower, which puts me up to 138,000, which is enough with the burn I get from the fire to generally one-tap snipers, which is the sole reason I have this, is just to kind of one-tap snipers. Can also be quite nice when you get the large groups of enemies running at you from a long distance away. You could pop this, hit them in the head, and everyone's now on fire. It's quite fun. And then my backup here is just going to be Bolt and Thunder. It's just a kind of, if a desperate situation, I can pull this out and just kill a bunch of enemies. I don't know if I've finished the actual pistol accolade yet, so maybe I'll have a look at that and finishing that up. The head here, again, Akari. This comes with a tier 3 mod. It comes with the Fire Tsunami, which is, it's not a necessary mod, but I would say it's a quality of life mod. So it increases the width of the firewall. So it makes it very, very easy to set the entire room on fire, especially because I'm going to be doing 3 casts with this build. And then I rolled onto that the Burnt Out, which is vital. That is one of the must-have mods, I'd say, for pretty much any Pyromancer build that uses Heatwave. Basically, damaged enemies take 25% more damage for 8 seconds, and that stacks. So, because I'm doing 3 casts, that's 75% extra damage. I don't know if it stacks with other Pyromancers. I've seen other Pyromancers casting on the same target as me, and they've gone down pretty quick, but I don't know if that's just because of the damage I'm doing or whatnot, but that'll be quite interesting. If you guys know that, if you can let me know. And I've got into that overly. The main attributes you're going to be wanting for this build, if you don't have the legendary gear yet, is anomaly power, cooldown, and either skill leech or status. Dependent. I am kind of moving towards status at the moment, as long as I have anomaly as a primary stat. Saying that, skill leech is also important, but not as important for this particular build, because you're going to get so much health back from elsewhere. Chest piece, and my second piece of Akari here. Everyone says not to roll off the unique that comes with us. This is the only Akari chest piece I've ever found, and that's with maybe about 120 hours in Pyromancer. I found one Akari chest piece. It comes with a mod that reduces, I think it reduces the overheat by 50%. I think that's that one. But I rolled on to, as you can see here, Ride the Wave, and I've got Tidal Waves, so that's 2 extra casts of Heat Wave. So I've got 3 casts in total. My legs here, my last piece of Akari. I've kept on Anomaly Echo. People say to roll off. I like it, and apparently it's one of the mods that are bugged right now, and it stacks. It's not meant to, I don't think, but it does. So you could theoretically get huge chunks of extra, both firepower and anomaly power, just from using this, and it's going to be up 100% of the time, because every time you cast a skill, which is going to be more than every 15 seconds, so it'll be up 100% of the time. And I've rolled onto that just for a bit of survivability. Damage absorber. There are mods, specifically that Pyromancers can use, that give you more armor or more resistance. However, I like to have my base resistances up higher, my base armor and my base damage, and then try and get buffs on top of that. Having this, it essentially doubles my armor and adds a little bit of resistance. But this is a more of a kind of personal choice. You could put this, you could change this about for something you'd like. It's just, I like this. It keeps me alive. It helps me out. Okay, so moving on to the gloves here. I'm using a Gloves of the Summit. I've got a normal power, cooldown, and status. I want that on my boots, but I haven't found a pair of boots yet that I can use with that. And I've been farming all day, and I've been doing the hunt exploit, and I must have farmed over 1,000 items today, and not a single pair of boots that I could use. But this came with the overheat pants on fire, which I probably don't want, but I also can't find a pair of gloves that doesn't have that as a primary stat. Basically, it increases by X amount of damage to enemies who are damaged by a skill but do not have their status consumed. It's kind of handy in a way. Sometimes I begin a fight by using this because it marks the enemies, and it can also interrupt enemies who are about to cast Sanctuary and stuff like that. I would like to be honest, not have it though. I'd like to get a set of gloves that I could use instead of it, but I just haven't found one yet. Now, this is the first little trick in this build. I put on Dying Fire Breath. Now what this does is whenever your health drops below 30%, burn is inflicted on enemies within a 10 meter radius. It has a 5-second cooldown, which is actually not bad. And you'll see when I go into the skills, the skill tree, the class tree, why that is actually really effective. So not only do you get a large amount of burn on enemies nearby, but yeah, you'll see why it makes you not invulnerable. You will maybe still die, but it's very difficult to do so. The last piece here is my boots. As you can see, it is a normally cooldown and a skill leech. As I said, I have been kind of thinking about getting a status, but I haven't found any yet. Again, I can't seem to find a pair of boots either that hasn't got Phoenix Force on it. It's actually quite weird. Like every single pair of boots that I found that had these 3 attributes had Phoenix Force. And I think that's one of the ones that is bugged not in our favour. It doesn't work as intended. So it says there, an additional 6,418 anomaly power per status consumed. Now what that means is if I set 10 people on fire, and then use my overheat, that's 10 statuses consumed. It doesn't mean 10, it doesn't mean like freeze, ash, you know, it doesn't mean 3 different statuses, it just means 10 statuses altogether. So that should theoretically be giving me 64,180 extra anomaly. I think that was right. My maths is a bit funny. And it just doesn't. People have tested it and have found it only gave them like 3,000 extra and ridiculously low levels. Hopefully they'll fix it, and if they do, it's actually going to be incredibly strong. So I'm going to keep it on for now. And then the only eruption mod I have is Pompey, which is a level 1. Mod, which basically you get an extra cast. So you get 2 casts of eruption, which essentially doubles the DPS. So that's the gear, guys. Looking at the stats here as well, loads of skill bonus, status, really high cooldown, trying to get as much cooldown as possible. Pretty good physical damage reduction, and then a little bit of resistance, and 24% skill leech is actually still really nice. So that's the gear, guys. So we're just moving. So the skills you're using: heat wave, overheat, and eruption. If you look as well, the cooldowns, really low cooldowns here. You can cast this out pretty much all the time. You've got overheat when you need it, and eruption every 22.5 seconds. Doesn't look like you're going to be doing a lot of damage here, but remember you do have the Akari buff. So as long as I've hit a bunch of ads, I can be sitting at about 600, 700,000 anomaly power. Which buffs that up quite high. So especially when you're running solo, this build melts running solo. So that's that, guys. Nice and simple. Now the class tree. This is where it works. So I've come down here first to get a little bit of anomaly power. This also gives you like water blaze here, which is really handy. Reduce cooldowns of your explosive skills, so that affects both eruption and overheat. You're going to move up and grab the wildfire, so you get overall decrease of skill cooldown by 10%. And then you're going to head down, and what other one I took down here was with fire and anomaly, so activating explosive skill, so again affected by overheat and eruption. Now considering my overheat is, let's see, what's my overheat, 11.2 seconds, and that has a 10-second duration. You're going to be having this buff pretty much active all the time, and it buffs you by 12%. I don't know if that's a 12% added on at the end of, like, if it's taken from your base anomaly power, and then maybe like your heat wave buffs are added onto that, or vice versa. I don't know. I think some of the way the buffs work in this game is a little weird. I'm used to working with buffing your base stats and then have them multiplicative. I don't think that's the case here. Here it's just adds. So instead of going like 50, then 100, then 150, it just goes 50, 50, 50, 50. But I kind of understand it, because I mean, this build wrecks as it is. If you had multiplicative, it would be ridiculous. Anyway, back onto the build. So I'm going up here to get Extinction, which is great mod, especially for dealing with bosses. Basically, they take 20% extra damage when they're below 30% health, just going to help finish them off. And then you're going to head along here, trying to get the damage mods. I chose to get the fire mods as well. If you were struggling for a bit of health, you could maybe grab the unquenchable, grab a bit more skill leech, sorry. And then you're going to come in here now. Going back to that mod I showed you guys, Fuel for the Embers. Doubles skill leech when under 30% health. Now, if you match that with Iron Fire Breath, everyone is set on fire within 10 meters of you. And you do 24% skill leech, which goes up to 48%. So it doesn't make you invulnerable. As long as you don't get one shot, your health regeneration from 30% to naught, or 1%, is phenomenal. Your health bar will just go and until you can basically get out of that situation. So that's the kind of first little thing. It saved my life so many times. It's actually ridiculous how quick my health bar can just shoot back up to full health from nothing. And then I decided to grab the Trial by Fire. Enemies affected by burn receive 15% more damage. And then the last one, of course, is a Magma Elemental, which is a great little ability. Again, this should be active at all times, because the Heat Wave, which is one of the skills that triggers this, has a less than 10-second cooldown. And as long as I begin each engagement with Heat Wave, which I should be doing to get the buff, 45% extra resistance and armor piercing is pretty brutal, considering how much damage I'm doing. The weird thing with this build is, even though my main kind of core damage ability is actually Eruption, burn that I get from like Heatwave and from the Wrath of Moloch mod, but I've had burn be my primary damage with this build, if not my secondary highest damage, and I mean like 50-60 million damage in a Boomtown run from burn, only burn, and then maybe like Eruption will be about 70 or 80. So yeah, that's it guys. That's a really nice little fun build to run. Good numbers, good stats, good defenses, good offenses. It does, I will admit, struggle, especially in like maybe 3-man groups, because I think when it comes to like if you're planning on running with people, especially if you're running with friends, you should probably try and maybe do the build I did in the previous video, which focused entirely on damage. It went all the way down here and went straight to damage. I think when it comes to team play, people should focus on roles. This build is for a hybrid, so if you're farming the hunts or you're doing solo challenges, this build will carry you through no problem at all, guys. That's it, guys. So yeah, go give it a go. Let me know if you enjoy it, and if you got any tips and tricks, put them in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe. It really does help. My channel is kind of stagnated last couple of months. I'll maybe gain like 1 sub every so often, and then I'll lose 1, and then I might gain 1, and just trying to break that 500 barrier. Just trying to. That'll be my first kind of big goal since starting the channel. I almost started the channel less than a year ago. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.